All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. My name is John Fitzgerald, and I'm part of the product marketing team here at EMS Software. Joining me today is Matt Thompson. He's one of our solution consultants and is responsible for implementing our solutions at our customers. Today we're going to be talking about enabling the evolving campus. To begin, just a few housekeeping items. Your lines will be muted during the webinar, but if you have any questions, please submit them via the Q&A box, which is on the right-hand side of your screen, and this recording will be emailed to the attendees tomorrow, Friday, July 29th. Our agenda today is as follows. We're going to talk a little bit about how the changes that are driving the evolving campus. We're going to talk about how universities are evolving their campuses to respond to the changing needs of student, faculty, and employees. We're going to talk about how we can enable the evolving campus, and we'll see a demonstration of how meeting and room scheduling software can help the evolving campus. We have two brief customer case studies that we're going to talk about, and then we'll talk about EMS software a little bit. Finally, we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end of the presentation, so if you have those questions, please submit them via the Q&A box on the right. And then finally, after the webinar is concluded, we have a brief survey that we'd like to see if you could please fill out, where we want to collect some more information and get your feedback on the webinar today. So to begin, let's talk a little bit about how today's campus is evolving. The way that students learn and the way that university employees are working is changing. There's a shift away from traditional learning spaces that meet the way that students, faculty, employees work and learn. Classroom, meeting, and reception spaces are being transformed to meet the needs of today's campus. We also see this in the world of existing facilities. Excuse me. Existing facilities are being used for more than just university events. There's a desire to use these spaces for more than just university events. There's a desire to use these for community events and other events. For example, in this election season, we've seen a lot of the different presidential debates and town halls being taken place at universities. And then finally, while there has always been a need for collaboration and innovation at academic institutions, the ways in which the campus serves this purpose is evolving with new types of technologies and spaces. This impact is really felt campus-wide. We feel it in the budget, realigning expectations, redesigning areas, and repurposing spaces. There's real pressure to manage the cost of real estate for universities. They want to maximize the use of their existing facilities to provide the right space to work or learn while still keeping an eye on the bottom line. Office space is shrinking because the cost of new building and maintaining aging infrastructure. Universities are also rethinking space by creating a variety of defined areas designed for specific activities, such as study spaces, areas for team project work, huddle rooms, and quiet areas. The modern campus is built around creating the right spaces for employees and students. Existing spaces are also being transformed to use with events for the community as well as students. And the campus itself is also an extension of the brand of the university. It's the place where students and employees should want to come and work and learn, and it's also where people from the community come to visit you. When hosting events or when hosting students, the experience has to be great. It has to be something that is flawless so that when they do come to visit your university or take a class or schedule some space to have an event, it needs to be set up in such a way so that it's very professional, as well as, excuse me, should be professional and flawless every time. And the campus itself still also needs to be cool, open, and social while still being a place of learning. It's also being felt by everyone on campus. We look at the different types of users of meeting and room scheduling software as falling into really two different categories: expert users and everyday users. Your expert users are those who run the university. These are event coordinators, registrars, or service providers. They command a large number of tools and resources for managed spaces. In other words, the spaces that require approval for use. Expert users are those who coordinate campus events, registrar employees that schedule class spaces, and service groups that work or provide AT or AV, IT, and the facilities plant and catering. Everyday users are just students, faculty, and university employees. These are users who mostly are looking to do self-service scheduling of spaces. These spaces that don't require approval for use. Everyday users are often casual or impromptu groups who will require space and little else. But there are challenges that are faced by universities today. Given the way that the campus is evolving, higher education institutes are facing three main challenges. Number one, expert users need to be able to plan classroom events, services, and more. Number two, students want to be able to schedule places to learn and interact with their peers, and faculty and university employees want to schedule meetings and workspaces. And three, all we need to keep an eye on is the bottom line, keeping watchful eyes on those dollars and cents, such as how space is being used, what it costs, and how much revenue is being derived from event spaces. If we drill into everyday users, they need to find the right space at the right time. The study cube to get ready for tomorrow's test, or the collaboration space to work on a project with other students, or the employee who just needs to find a quiet room to be able to take a personal phone call. Their biggest pain point is they just want to book the room or space with the resources and services that they need. The process needs to be easy, not time-consuming. In fact, in a survey that we did, we found that 70% of employees say they can waste up to 15 minutes every time they want to look for a space to meet. That's just not productive. They don't want to deal with double-booked rooms or workspaces. They just want to get stuff done. We also hear from expert users, those who plan events, plan class schedules, and more. Many times they wear multiple hats and deal with too much paperwork, manual processes, and other challenges to be able to get their stuff done. They need and want to be more efficient. And finally, those dollars and cents. Real estate is a very large expense for an academic institution, and they need to make sure that it's getting the most out of its properties. Spaces need to be at peak utilization for the activity that students and employees need to do. So how do you transition from the challenges of the traditional campus to what your students need today? It's by a commitment to evolve the campus. To keep pace with the demands in higher education, institutions are evolving their campuses to really meet the needs of students, faculty, and employees. And there are really three aspects to consider when evolving your campus: the social, technological, and physical needs of today's students, educators, and employees. The social aspect of this is really about helping to create the space that are purpose-driven and support really the highly collaborative needs of the university community. When you think about it, the campus itself is a large ecosystem of workspaces, social spaces, learning spaces, and so much more. And it really needs to offer students choice and flexibility while still being innovative and cool and a place to learn. The physical aspect of this is all about the place and space. People come onto campus to be with other students and get work done. In general, the campus is evolving, and these days it's more organic and less structured than a response to the need for more flexibilities. The types of spaces that are needed, there's a variety of different types of spaces that are needed for the campus. There's a space for collaboration where students can be able to meet and work on projects together. There's a place for socialization where they are able to spend some time on campus to work with others and forge and maintain relationships. There's a space for concentrated work, places where they can get heads down and study. And there's also the need for a space to get away, some place that they can have some time to rest and reflect. And really the final component of this is really the technology and tools that enable it. Students, employees, and faculty today are incredibly tech savvy. The laptop is everywhere on campus today. Students have a smartphone, they have a laptop, they might have a tablet. So the technology that's there to support this evolving campus needs to be there so that they can work anywhere, whether that's sitting on the quad, working from their laptop, working in the dorm, or at a coffee house. And really the overall goal of the evolving campus is to align the work patterns, processes, and environment to maximize how students, faculty, and employees engage with each other and to help derive productivity, collaboration, interaction, and operational efficiencies. So how are campuses evolving, particularly really from the perspective of the students, faculty? So how are campuses evolving, particularly from the perspective of how students, faculty, and employees interact with physical space? Well, let's take a look at a day in the life of the campus population. So as we start our day here, at 8:30, we have Psych 101 in the lecture hall. What happened before the semester started, as students registered for the class using the student's information system, class size was compared to available spaces and professors' preferences for the lecture hall in order to schedule this room. It's all automated and streamlined, which normally can be a pretty complex task. As the day goes on, some employees meet in a conference room they scheduled using Microsoft Outlook. This is a departmental planning meeting where they're looking to make some plans for next semester. This is a recurring meeting, and it spans a number of different rooms, but it actually uses just one reservation, which was enabled by the meeting and room scheduling software. At 11:30, a group of students are working in the library on a project and they need to find a space to work. They find an empty study room, but they want to make sure that it is not reserved. So they use an app on a smartphone and scan a QR code that's posted in the room. The room is free, so they're able to book it and get back to work. As they look to at 2 o'clock, the facilities team is meeting to plan space utilization for the next semester. The facilities team looks at all the utilization statistics that have been collected for the study cubbies. They have that information that we saw in that previous step of when users check into spaces and how long they're there. This purpose of this meeting is for them to go and see whether or not they need to reallocate spaces and possibly maybe add some additional study cubbies. Because they have access to all of that great utilization data, they're able to determine what spaces are being used and start plans to be able to build some more. And then finally, at the end of the day, the student organization wants to be able to book its space for their upcoming event. They use a web browser and go from their university's portal to a page where they can go and create an online request for an event. They can fill out information about how the number of attendees they're going to have, the date, the time, whatever kind of room configuration they're looking for, if they have any catering requests, and if there's any AV equipment that they want brought into the room for it. That form kicks off a workflow which notifies the Student Center manager. Behind the scenes, the Student Center manager can then go and review the request, and if it's approved, it'll then kick off a set of workflows to the extended team, to the facilities team, to the catering team, to the AV team, to ensure that that room is set up in the configuration that it's needed by that student group. In addition, behind the scenes, that information is then populated onto a campus master calendar where that event is listed, and because it's a public event open to anybody, it's now publicly available and published for any student to go find information about it so that they can go and attend the event if they want that, if they would like to. So let's take a look at how these scenarios would be enabled by a meeting and room scheduling solution. For this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Matt. Matt's going to show a demonstration here of how meeting and room scheduling software can enable these scenarios. Matt?
All right, thank you, John. I appreciate the introduction there. So as a student walks into their class, regardless of where it's located, they usually don't think about what took place to get that class scheduled. They just sign up and then they show up, but as most of you know, there's a lot more that goes on to allow that student to have a classroom to show up to. And it's not always easy finding a space that meets the needs of the teacher or the course itself. Because of the multitude of processes that can be involved with classroom scheduling, we're going to go ahead and just start with a few slides as highlights. A scheduling software should allow you to collect the information regarding course changes and preferences in an easy-to-use interface, thus allowing the scheduler to understand the specific needs of each course and to help them find the correct placement for the course. Having a software that provides an online interface for your departments to input those course changes and preferences is a great way to streamline the collection of that information. Gone are the days of multiple emails, spreadsheets, or post-it notes when collecting course information. You can see in this slide the view of an interface that allows you to collect preferences, one of the many behind-the-scenes actions taking place as part of academic scheduling. A scheduling software should also be able to assist in the placement of those courses to not only make sure the needs are being met, but also make sure the class has enough seats for the students. A software with a classroom schedule optimizer is designed to do just that. You're able to weight the most important aspects of the courses to make sure they are taken into account when optimizing. This slide shows what an optimization scenario might look like and how you can control how the courses are placed by weighting the way the preferences are addressed in the optimizer. So it's now 10:30 and the employees at the university are having their daily recurring meeting that they scheduled using Outlook. Scheduling it would have looked something like this. The organizer would open their Outlook, create a new meeting just like they normally would, inviting the attendees, and in this case, creating a recurrence. I've already pre-selected my attendees and my recurrence, so all I have to do now is select a room. So I'm able to click on the add-in, and that allows me to see the availability of the rooms, pulling that information directly from the scheduling software. I'm able to see the available rooms and select the one I want, which in this case, I want to go ahead and select the Silverton room. Once I select that, it's going to write my meeting information back to the scheduling system for me, and it's going to add this to my reservation within Outlook. So I'm now able to send out my meeting request to my attendees, not only letting them know that we've booked the room but we also the date pattern of the meeting and the recurring pattern there. So students are now in the library and looking for a small study room for their group. They see a room that looks like it's available, so they open their mobile app, and they're able to see a calendar of any other events they have scheduled for that day. They're able to click in the upper right-hand corner to create a new reservation, but in this case, the room has a QR code hanging outside of it. So they decide they're going to open up their QR code scanner to scan that QR code and automatically create the reservation. Doing so automatically populates information such as the event name, the date, the time, as well as the room. In this case, the person scheduling is associated with multiple groups, so all they have to do is select which group they're making this reservation for. And once they do that, they're able to go ahead and hit the Create Reservation button to again write that information back to the scheduling system. And in this case, at the same time, automatically check them into that room. And again, checking in allows you better data to be collected in regards to your utilization. So now it's 2 p.m. The facilities team is looking at the usage of space on campus. They realize that the study rooms are being used at a high rate, and they might want to consider building out additional spaces, possibly converting some of the conference rooms over to study space because they're not being utilized as much. They're able to see this information by running a number of reports, but specifically one like what you see here, which is the room utilization report. Having insight to how your spaces are being used allows you to make informed decisions regarding the build-out, remodel, or repurpose of your space. Without reporting, you're unable to understand how your space is truly being utilized. So now it's 6 p.m. and unfortunately the reservations office is closed. However, the chess club still needs to make their reservation to hold their annual chess club tournament. So the chess club president goes online to go ahead and request a space. He's able to select the action of booking a campus room. And when he does so, he's able to go ahead and select the date as well as the time for the event. He also knows he's expecting about 20 people for this event and decides to filter down to just see rooms in the student union because he knows that that's very centrally located for all of the chess club members. He sees the list of rooms that are available and is able to select his preferred room, which in this case is conference room 3. So he adds that booking to the reservation and is then able to move on to the next steps, which include adding AV equipment and catering. For AV, he decides he wants to add a microphone with a stand, and he also decides he'd like to add a sound system. For the catering, he decides he'd like to add some soda, and in addition to the soda, he'd like to order some sandwiches for the group as well. He's able to select the sandwiches and the different types that he'd like to see delivered and add that to his reservation. As you can see, the items have been added to his cart and are able to show the cost for him. He's then able to move forward with the next steps, except in this case, he forgot to agree to the terms and conditions for the catering department. So now that he's done that, he's able to go ahead and finish the reservation out by adding an event name, as well as selecting the group he's booking for, and finally answering a few additional questions. In this case, is this event open to external guests? And also filling in an event description for this event, so when it shows up on the campus calendar, there's a bit of a descriptor there. So by submitting this reservation, he's able to, by submitting the reservation, the request is then sent over to the events office for approval. So even though the events office was closed, he was still able to make his request online. And as you can see here, he'll receive a final confirmation within the next 48 hours. Additionally, he's able to add this event to his personal calendar, and if he wants to, he can forward that out as an invite to the rest of his chess club members. That concludes the day on campus, and now I'll turn things back over to John. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. So as you saw in the great demonstration, it's really a great and easy way about how meeting and room scheduling software helps to enable this evolving campus that we've been talking about today. As you saw, using some really, really easy to use tools, a great web application, Microsoft Outlook, which employees are heads down using every day, and a mobile application that every student's going to have in their pocket, we really saw how we could enable both everyday users and expert users to be able to quickly and easily work with the spaces that they have through meeting and room scheduling software. So how do we enable the evolving campus? This is really where EMS software comes in. Across the bottom, we have all the different systems that a university might use to automate their campus. There's Outlook, Exchange, and other tools from Microsoft for calendaring and collaboration. We have video conference tools to connect with other campus locations or maybe other universities. We have Active Directory or LDAP as that system of record for university employees and the groups that they belong to. We have human resource information systems that has information about the employees, student information systems that help automate and schedule classes. We've got facility management systems which are there to be able to help manage the buildings, and the building automated controls that control the HVAC and other components of a building. And then across the top, we have all the tools that users will need to interact with that space on campus. Expert users use EMS through a desktop client designed for your event coordinators, administrators, faculty or facility, and real estate managers and service providers. Those would be the folks who would receive that request that Matt showed before for the event. Everyone, both expert and everyday, have access to EMS through Microsoft Outlook, the EMS mobile application, EMS web application, room signage, and kiosks. These access points can all be used to successfully reserve the different types of meetings, rooms, labs, resources, and services that they need to be able to get things done. Tying all these systems and tools together is really where EMS software comes right there in the middle. With pre-built integrations to these systems, you can provide the tools needed to support your campus and help enable to evolve the digital campus, the evolving campus. EMS software delivers a number of different solutions. We make it easy to schedule and manage any type of space, resource, or meeting, from a simple departmental meeting to a complex event requiring room setup, catering, and video conferencing. Only EMS provides the fastest and easiest way to schedule a space with the greatest depth and breadth of functionality. When it comes to classroom scheduling, our solution helps to schedule the classes according to room size, equipment, location, preferences of the instructor, and availability of the room. Classroom scheduling automates the labor-intensive manual process, which saves valuable time and increases productivity. As it relates to workspace reservation, this helps employees and students find their ideal place to work. They need the process to be fast and easy so they can quickly book the space that fits what they're doing at that time and what they're trying to accomplish. As it relates to meeting and room scheduling, we help enable users to quickly and easily find and book rooms for whatever kind of space they need, whether that's labs, studios, practice rooms, conference rooms, collaboration spaces, and more. The great thing about this is that users can filter and search based upon location, capacity, resources, services, and more. Then, when it comes down to event management, when it comes to events on campus, there are many, many moving parts. With a single meeting and room scheduling software solution, you can manage the rooms, resources, services, people, and everything in between using one system. From the endowment's annual fundraiser at the Center for the Performing Arts and the pre-game alumni brunch in the Alumni Center, through the faculty recognition ceremony in the Student Union, your campus is your brand, and executing flawless events is key. As we mentioned on the previous slide, EMS software integrates with all of your existing systems and offer APIs to work with many of the tools that are in your existing IT portfolio. And then finally, what I kind of find to be really the key feature and one of the real benefits out of meeting and room scheduling software is around utilization statistics. As we saw in the demo and as we talked about a little bit before, users check in and to spaces. And all that information is then put into a central database, and we deliver powerful reporting capabilities to give you visibility into how, when, and who is using your space. And it helps you really get really informed decisions around real estate reduction and expansion. By being able to really understand what spaces are being used and what's commonly being used for, it can help provide informed decisions on any future capital or real estate investments that happen down the road. Before I get on to this next slide, one thing I just wanted to see, I've seen a handful of questions come in, but if you have any questions about what we've been talking about today, please feel free to use the Q&A function on the right-hand side of the screen, and we'll get to as many of those today as we can. So this next slide here is one that I think we're really proud of here at EMS Software, and it's related to the return on investment our customers realize. We work with a third-party company, it's called Tech Validate, and we work with them to query our customers about their experiences with our software. One of the recent data points that we collected, and as I said before, we're really proud of it, is the return on investment that our customers have seen using our solutions, using meeting and room scheduling software. 84% of our customers see an ROI in less than a year. And over time, they see about an 8 to 12 times return on investment using our software. And this is done through a variety of different value analysis exercises that we've done with them. This is realized in a number of different ways. It's realized in an increase in productivity in the way that takes time users to be able to schedule space, a decrease in the administrative effort to manage a lot of these spaces, and a reduction in operations and real estate costs. As I mentioned before, with utilization statistics, you can make informed decisions about how to use your space. And there's also a return that they achieve using meeting and room scheduling software that's a little harder to measure, but it's really important. And that's the impact on the brand. It's harder to measure your campus and your experience, that your community of, it's crucial that your brand is, excuse me. So as I've mentioned before, it's hard to kind of measure that impact on the brand, but by being able to streamline events and streamline how users are being able to work in your space, it really does provide that place that people would like to go and is a memorable event at your university. If you want to see more information about this, what I'd recommend you do is go up to Tech Validate's website. It's techvalidate.com. You can search for EMS software, and you can see what our customers have said about us and our products in their own words. I've got two customer case studies that I'm going to be talking about today. The first is the Ohio State University, and one of the big challenges that they had when they came to us was they had just too many siloed systems. They had a different system for their resource management systems, video conferencing, catering, and other systems. And what was happening is that they were really running into a lot of chaos where they had a large number of wasted service deliveries where people were either asking for food or catering or having a room set up that were changed or canceled, and there was just no visibility into how all these events were happening. And what they were really looking for was a vendor that they could partner with for working in this. With putting together an meeting and event management solution, they were able to really consolidate all of those different disparate systems that they worked with in the past into just one system. They reduced the time that was spent in wasted booking meetings in the administrative time that was handled on the back end managing those meetings. And really this is something that's they were able to do, is they were able to evolve and really embrace this evolving campus by creating an interactive space by using digital signage, kiosk, and other integrated systems that was all powered by their meeting and room management software. The second case study I'm going to talk about today is Minnesota State University at Moorhead. And this is a customer of ours that was having some challenges with trying to interact with their HVAC system and being able to have that link up with the different rooms and meetings that they had in place. They were averaging about 12% daily of occupancy of their rooms, but yet the lighting, the heating, and cooling was on for over 13 hours a day, which was really just a total unnecessary expense that was out there. Furthermore, the problem was that the HVAC system required an average of 15 clicks to make a single change, which really is something that's a lot of time that was wasted being able to adjust the heating and air conditioning controls in those rooms. With EMS software, and we also worked with a partner of ours, Streamside Solutions, and their product events to HVAC, we were able to help them and really just integrate their meeting and room scheduling data with their various HVAC systems and building control systems across the campus. This was able to automatically turn on and make sure that the heating and air conditioning was turned on in the room for that specific meeting and wasn't being and they weren't heating an empty room. They were able to save about 45 to 55 cents per square foot on HVAC costs, totaling in over $1 million in savings annually. And the other thing too was that it was enabling them to be able to free up time for people to be able to do other things instead of turning the air conditioning on and off. They were able to save over 15 hours a week for some of their folks being able to automate these controls using meeting and room scheduling software. Just briefly here about EMS software. We started in 1986 and we're based in Denver, Colorado. We've got over 2,000 customers across the globe, and we're proud to say that about half of those are higher education institutions. As you can see, some of our customers listed up there on the right-hand side. In addition, in the bottom right-hand corner, using Tech Validate, which I discussed before, we have, this is our customers' own words as to why they partnered with us. It is that we offer the greatest depth and breadth of functionality. We provide the fastest and easiest way to schedule a meeting. We have that proven 8 to 12 times return on investment and exceptional customer service and helping with the deployment as well as ongoing support for our solution. Finally, just before we get to questions, and again, if you have any questions, please put them in the question box on the right-hand side. Just kind of wrap it up here, and then, as I said, we'll open it to questions. I wanted to conclude and talk a little bit about what our customers are seeing as a result of partnering with us. First, on the productivity side of the house, they're increasing productivity by saving the time and enabling users to find and schedule the right room and the right people. They're also reducing the administrative effort by eliminating the steps that are needed to schedule and manage meeting space with the most accurate information. It's really delivering the tools that are needed to support a university being able to schedule thousands of meetings and classes each year. The second is really around attracting and retaining people. By concentrating on the evolving campus to support a flexible activity-based environment where students, faculty, and employees can be at the optimal levels of productivity. We're also helping our customers reduce cost by reducing operating and real estate costs and helping to eliminate wasted space and maximize real estate with informed decisions. And then finally, as we've talked about this, they're helping to really differentiate their brands by enabling them to create the best fit spaces for different types of classes, enabling flawless events, and by taking out of the guesswork of scheduling, managing space, and really helping to provide memorable experiences on campus for both students, employees, guests, and the campus itself. And with that, what we're going to do is we're going to shift over here to questions. Matt, got a couple of questions here. And I guess the first one here that I'm going to throw your way is as it relates to the mobile application, and there's two questions in here that we're going to hit. The first one is, what platforms is that mobile application available on?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's available both on Apple as well as Android devices for the mobile app itself, the native app. And we also have a mobile version that would be available on any browser as well. So any of the unsupported phones out there, like a Windows phone or something like that, you would also be able to get a browser version that allows you to access that mobile capability.
Great. And then the second question is around deployment. How is the application deployed? This question is asking, is it possible to use a MDM solution? I'll take that one. Yes. Our applications are available through the App Store, so people can download it. Obviously, you have to have the software on the back end to be able to interact with it. But for those universities that have a need for mobile device management and deploying this to their end users through MDM, we do support that, and you can use that for distribution. The next question I have for you here, Matt, is if there's a change to the meeting in EMS, including schedule changes or cancellations, is that going to get pushed out to the event stored in Outlook, or will updates be sent to participants via email?
Yeah, that's a great question as well. It really depends what you're using with EMS. If you're using the EMS for Outlook integration, those updates would actually be pushed out to the attendee. Now, based on the demonstration today and what you saw, that actually would not. That's just the individual user downloading an ICS file and adding it to their calendar. So they would have to update that meeting invite themselves and then resend that to their attendees. So to answer that part, the scheduler would go ahead and send that change along to that individual, and they could update that meeting invite.
Perfect, great. Next one I have here is under reports. Does EMS have the ability to survey the end user as to how satisfied they were with the service that were given to them?
That's a great question as well. We get that one a lot. EMS does not have a built-in survey tool. However, you can actually create automatic emails to be sent out after an event takes place. So it can be sent to the first contact or the group level email there and be sent out automatically. And what a lot of groups will do is actually include a link to their preferred survey vendor, if you will, whether that be SurveyMonkey or some other survey system out there, but they can include that link to collect that information. And then, once you get that information from that system, you could then upload an attachment back into EMS if you want to track that on the event level there.
Perfect. Next question here is around report data. Can the report data be exported to Excel?
Absolutely. All of our reports can be exported to multiple formats, including Excel, PDF, a number of other formats. Obviously, Excel being one of the major ones, because oftentimes people want to take that data and kind of analyze it a little bit further.
Perfect. And then let's see here.
I've got one more here.
Yeah.
I see. How is the HVAC system integrated with EMS? Question was that using the API. Correct, and that was actually done with the case study there. I believe it was done by Events to HVAC, one of our partners who specializes in creating those types of integrations. So you can do that just using the API on your own, but we also have partners out there that specialize it and have done it a number of times that have really kind of dialed in that process and have really been able to help some of our clients see great returns.
Perfect. Let's see. The next one here was, so the question is, you mentioned something about the workflow. Can you elaborate that on a little more? Meaning when students book a room, do the orders go to each specific department, or is this manually done? And so I guess if you could describe a little bit about managed versus unmanaged spaces and sort of where those workflows and where the business process templates come into place, I think probably would take care of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So correct. The workflows are really set up by the client. So you decide what those workflows are based upon the space. It could be a reservable room, and maybe we need to notify the person that's involved in that room. They could book AV, and when they book that AV, it automatically triggers a notification to go to the AV department to let them know they have they have a new service order that they have to take care of. Same thing with catering and that kind of thing. And you can trigger those based upon different statuses you might have. So if it's a request status, the person that's in charge of the room might get the initial notification letting them know they have a new booking, and then once they approve that, then we're going to go ahead and send out the notification to the AV department as well as the catering department to say, hey, we have a new booking we've approved. Now it's in your lap to approve the catering or the AV kind of thing, and then that can even trigger back to where another notification comes back to that person to then go ahead and send out the confirmation to the individual, let them know that their entire event has been put together.
Got it. And that's
And to clarify, that is not done manually. That's set up in the back end, and then all of that will happen automatically based upon the different things that you do in the system.
Right, and I guess, just in addition there, I mean, that's when we're talking about rooms that are specific that need to be reserved, but when we have unmanaged spaces like a study cubby or a huddle room, those are things that the user can then, or the end user, the student, can just go ahead and book themselves without needing approval. I guess said another way, you can define spaces in your world that require approval and ones that don't require approval. And for the ones that don't require approval, you saw the great example before about how Outlook and the mobile application can quickly and easily do that.
Absolutely, great point.
Let's see.
All of the reports, there's a question here regarding reporting capabilities and what was showcased today available as part of the product or if that's part of the API. The reports shown today were available. They're available in the product. So the room utilization report is a report built into the product. There's over 100 reports built into the system, so there's numerous reports that you can pull to find the information you're looking for, and beyond that, there's also a query builder, so you can pull from other fields within the system if you're not finding exactly what you want. So typically, there's no need for an API or even another snap-on reporting tool when it comes to reporting EMS.
Got it. Perfect. And I've got another one. Is there a room design program? I guess maybe talk a little bit about the ability to include floor plans.
Yeah. So a lot of groups will actually upload images using whatever kind of room diagramming they might want to use, whether it's like Visio or whatever, to create those, and just upload them as more of the static type of images to show what can be done. Other groups want a little bit more interactive way of doing that, and we actually partner with a company called Social Tables. With Social Tables, because they're a SaaS solution themselves, you can include a link on the event level within EMS to where you can save that link and then share that link with the individual to either allow them to design the room themselves, and then that would automatically be saved in their system, so that link gives you the most up-to-date information. So there's, we don't have anything built in, but there are ways to track that information, either upload it into the system or kind of save that link on the event itself to then have that most up-to-date information tracked along with that event.
Okay, and then we've got two integration questions, which I'm going to lump together. Do we work with Workday SIS?
Yeah, we can integrate with them. We've integrated with all the major SISs out there, and definitely plan to work with Workday in the future as they come into the market space more and more.
And the next one here is, can we work with existing work order systems such as Team Dynamics?
It really kind of depends what you're looking to do there. We have a number of integrations with different systems out there, including different facility management type of systems. The API typically is going to be the way you would integrate. That would probably be a question you would want to direct more directly to your account manager, to talk to them directly kind of about what you're looking to do, what type of information you're looking to pass back and forth, and then discuss whether it's something that's feasible or maybe something that EMS can already track.
Perfect. And again, if there are any other questions, please submit them to the Q&A. As I mentioned before, Matt, have we hit all the questions?
I think so. I think, if not, I think I answered the ones that came up during the presentation. I tried to answer as best as possible.
Perfect. Oh, great. Well, on behalf of EMS Software, we want to thank you all very much for joining us today. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, there will be a brief survey. We'd love for you to please stay on after I stop speaking and take the survey that we're going to send out to you. I want to thank my colleague Matt here for joining us and giving a great demonstration about meeting and room scheduling software. As I said before, higher education and academic institutions make up about a half of our customer base, and it's a great environment that we like to work with them. So with that, thank you very much. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us today.